We're going to be jumping into an automation panel. And in this automation panel, we'll be speaking about industries in transformation, driving efficiency and resilience by leveraging intelligent automation. A couple of points that we're going to be covered will be digital transformation governance, strategy and execution, functional transformation and improvement, also new technologies assessment and implementation of hyper-automation that empowers businesses. We've got four amazing gentlemen coming up on stage. I will be introducing them to you one by one. First off, we have Arivuvel Ramu. He's the Chief Technology Officer at Tonic, the Philippines' first purely digital neobank. He's also built and launched the first pure virtual digital bank in the Southeast Asia region from ground up and over multi-cloud. Could we please welcome Arivuvel Ramu, CTO, Tonic Bank Philippines. We're also joined by Leonard Tan. Leonard is a seasoned investor CEO with over 25 years of experience of acquisitions and mergers in the manufacturing and technology sectors. He's also the director of Rolling Pastures. Please welcome CEO Rolling Pastures Private Limited, Leonard Tan. Next up, we have David Tam. David is the East Region CIO at Global Retail Markets, Liberty Mutual, responsible for leading the technology strategy and teams within Liberty's East Region, covering 7 countries in Asia, poised for high growth. Please welcome with a nice big hand, Regional Chief Information Officer, Global Retail Markets, East Region, Liberty Mutual, David Tam. And our moderator, ladies and gentlemen, an excellent international business builder with over 25 years of extensive experience in the telecoms, media, and technology industry. Currently an active business mentor with several global startup accelerators and the Institute of Higher Learning in Singapore. Could we please welcome COO PIF Capital, Dr. Marcuz Tan, to moderate. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start off first with a selfie because that's how we do it. I'm going to join that selfie. Why not?
I can't see you guys.
Let's do one
sorry.
more, Marcuz, with me as well. Here we go. Fantastic.
Can I see all of you? Oops. There you go. Thank you.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a nice big hand to all 4 gentlemen on stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, hi. Okay, my name is Marcuz. I've been in the TMT business for the last 25 years. TMT represents technology, media, telecoms. I've traveled extensively, helped exit 4 companies internationally in the last 25 years. Involved in a fundraising team that had raised close to $930 million or $1 billion for different companies. And I'm currently with a company called PIF Capital. We are actually a one-stop capital resource platform specialized in helping SMEs, educating them and teaching them about the capital markets, whether it's an M&A, whether it's a succession planning, whether it's an IPO, what do you do, right? So that's what we do. So I've got a huge task here because there's 3 extremely experienced gentlemen with me. So without further ado, I'm going to start from my right to let the gentleman introduce himself a little bit. I think you saw that. Maybe you want to put that up again. And we can start off and then followed by Leonard and David. Please.
Yeah, thanks, Marcuz. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ramu from Tonic Digital Bank. First privately owned a neobank based out of Philippines and headquarters in Singapore. I'm from there. Yeah, what we have did, we built a greenfield neobank which is built on multi-cloud and completely AI and data-driven neobank to serve financial inclusion and to serve the market for mass affluent, emerging affluent. What the success today, as an organization, we've grown to, in last 3 years, of becoming a billion-dollar company. And that's the success. Yeah, honored and humbled to be here to share my view. Thank you.
Thank you. Leonard?
So, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Leonard, and I am Director of Rolling Pastures Private Limited. At Rolling Pastures, we conceptualize, design, formulate, and manufacture functional food and beverages. And we are one of the market players in the food tech industry that champions Singapore's 30 by 30 food security mission. And digital transformation to us actually means functionally using the web in everything that we do. So basically, we are looking at how we can actually build data-oriented and data-driven business model for our manufacturing processes.
Thank you. David?
Great. Good evening or good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm David. I cover our Asia region for Liberty Mutual Insurance. And so a lot of technology in this space, a lot of exciting things happen. I remember when I first joined Liberty not too long ago, we still had those old credit card machines. If you remember, there was the carbon copy paper, and you were kind of swiping the insurance, credit card numbers when we're making payments. And so I think a lot's evolved, a lot's changed there. And so I think it's a very exciting space to be in, and I think this is a good topic to talk about today.
Thank you. Okay, so let's get into the action. But before that, I just have this, and before that, so we have a very intimate audience here. So it's good that if you guys have any question, just be open and ask question. If we cannot give you the answer, the person will have to buy Starbucks. So we'll do that, right? Okay, so when we talk about transformation, in my life, in the past 20 plus years, the word transformation has always been a constant word that's being used. You know, be it in the early days when I was in media, we talk about transforming from a traditional media to online media to digital media to today, new age media, right? And transformation has always been a very topic that actually lingers along the way for the last 20 years of my life. And always come to my mind with this big picture, you know, of transformation where you have a screen, you have the movie playing, and there are 4 monkeys behind on the bicycle cycling, so that the power is on, and that's transformation. Because to the audience who is watching, to them that's transformation, right? But behind the scene, it's still very manual. So it's always a situation of what is transformation. I'm going to kick off from this side, David, right, to the end here, and say, what in your mind, what is transformation? How did transformation hit you in your own journey, right?
Yeah, I think it started, I like that example, by the way, the monkeys behind the screen. I always think of the man behind the ATM giving the money out. So.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think it hit me when I first joined an insurance company, which was actually Liberty. And I just remember, I always think the best thing to do when you join a new role is to start shadowing the actual business. Go around and see what the underwriters are doing and seeing how agents work and how they sell insurance, how do we process claims. And I just remember seeing a lot of the monkeys behind the screen type of analogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how much it can really impact people's lives, right? I mean, it can make jobs really tough for people to process things, or it can really impact the experience. And so I think as we look at automation, it's nothing new, and as we think about transformation, it's nothing new, but it's, how are we impacting the life to really improve the experience for our customers, right, or employees or partners. And I think the exciting thing that's happening now is the type of automation that we can do is like open up new avenues, right? So the complexity, the sophistication behind the decision-making that we can do from any industry that you're in, whether it's banking, insurance, manufacturing, I think it's opened up kind of new opportunities for us to really drastically change the experience.
Thank you. Leonard?
Yeah, so I think transformation at the very fundamental level talks about change. And for us in the manufacturing and production industry, adopting transformation, digital transformation, has allowed us to move a lot of manual muscle up the value chain. And what this means is that people who now work for us take a very hands-off approach, more of a hands-off approach to managing machines and running our production lines. And also, adopting digital transformation or transformational change has allowed us to achieve something called Quality 4.0. And what Quality 4.0 is actually the pursuit of excellence in a time where there is very high probabilities of disruptive transformation. And for us, what it means is that we are now using greener, cleaner, more sustainable methods and techniques in our production lines so that they translate to utility and satisfaction of our customers when they consume our products.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcus. For the financial industries, transformation is alive. Why I'm saying that, last 3 years we all lived in a room where we never looked up on where is the branch, where is the bank, right? People don't need a bank, all need a financial service. This last 3 years taught us the need of change in financial service, the way it delivers financial services to the people. Number one, when you look at Southeast Asia as a market, for example, Philippines, about 130 million customer base of 7,400 islands. And most of the banks or financial institutions are only in 2 big cities, Manila and Cebu. All other islands, and 65% of populations are either underserved or not at all. Second, if you look at Indonesia as an island, 230 million customer base, again, 60% not get even a single type of financial service. That's a trend. Why? 14,000 island. How many of you know more than 4 island names in Indonesia? 14,000 island made up of Indonesia. So it's all about simple reachability, how the financial service institution always on, and the seamless customer segmented financial service can be reached to the particular customer through digital engagement platform. As a seamless experience, customer segment specific contextual delivery. It is more meaningful on that. How you deliver that through technology, you can use cloud-based delivery to reduce your CAG, or how you take AI to automate things, RPA to automate things of the complete process re-engineering from consumer, your front office, your middle office, your back office, how you integrate all this part of single transformed processes and deliver the seamless experience in quicker way. That makes the customer quickly get what he wants, save, lend, insure, or do the transaction, or playing with this money. That's all about the change or the transformation needed in the market. That's what, from my perspective, the people need. Everything virtual. I should not think about where is Tonic Bank. All I need to do, just download the app, play with, in a fingertip and the fingers, you can able to, do all your financial service need.
Great. I'll download the app after this. Yeah, I just, as you were articulating the process and the different industries and all that, something that came to my mind, right? When you have no process, there's no governance. When you have process, there's bound to be a lot of governance, because every single government or every single country wants to make sure that things are sort of managed in the right way or in the correct way, right? But it's also challenging because I think COVID has been the best, I call it the best disruption of everybody's life, because without COVID, we will still probably be talking about transformation, but nothing happens. But today, because of COVID, we're all forced by the wave of COVID to do things differently, right? And the one quote that I've always used is, there used to be a word that says change is a constant, but to me, disruption is the only constant today. Change is no longer the constant, because you're always being disrupted. Before you even do, if you take 10 steps and you take only 3 steps, and by the 4th step, you are disrupted and you got to think of new things to do, right? So in your opinion, whether it's banking, manufacturing, or even insurance, and out of the three areas of expertise from three of you, the two key industries that involves a lot of money is banking and insurance. Of course, manufacturing, you're talking about the process, the supply chain, and all those stuff, right? How do you have good governance given a constant disruption, given a constant change in your industry? Because everyone here would like to know what's the best governance, because if you do something wrong, next day somebody knock at your door and say, hey, you know, we've got a question for you.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. If you look at maybe 5, 10 years ago, there's a lot more predictability in things, right? And so I remember when, you know, if you looked at governance structures and documents, there'd be this like big 50-page, like precise document on governance and processes and controls and approvals and things like that, right? And I think if we try to apply that today, it just doesn't work, because like you said, there's so much disruption. So something you put in a document, it's changing like within the next few months, right? And so I think as we look at governance, you know, a few things I'll call out. One is, I think, how do we put principles in place? How do we put outcomes that we're trying to achieve versus very prescriptive items in there? And I think, you know, the biggest enabler of that today is talent, right? Because there's so much volatility, you can't predict everything, and you can't put everything in a structure in a document. That's where talent starts to become really important. And so that's why, I mean, there's a huge talent war now, and we're just talking about it with someone in the audience. I think that's one of the key actual enablers as we think about governance.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I think digital governance can be implemented through a mechanism known as digital mastery. And what digital mastery is that it contains two competencies. The first competency is digital capability, and the second competency is leadership capability. So digital capability refers to the innovative use of novel technologies to improve business processes, whereas leadership capabilities refer to the ethical, moral, and legal strategies derived from a leader's acumen that actually drives sustainable organizational change in profitable ways. And so when we think of profit, it could mean different things to everyone, right? Profits to small companies may mean dollars and cents. For medium-sized companies, it may mean EBITDA margins and growth. And for large companies, it usually means transforming customer experiences through technology. And we see the big boys, the big giants, Apple, Microsoft, and Google, actually measuring the success of digital governance via the impact of both quantity and quality of digital transformation experiences that they have actually delivered to their consumers. Thank you.
Perfect. Probably I would like to add our gentleman's point of view. Digital governance, it's different angle for financial industry. Number one, the mindset, the culture of the people, risk-taking culture, bringing innovation, or being about speed. That's one. Building the culture, how we talked about talent management. Second governance is the technology innovation. You know, how you bring the new tech and how it align into the business capabilities and business alignment. Not saying I'm technologically sound, but that technology linked to business outcome, which is aligned to profitable business. That is what's only sustainable. End of the day, the number game. How much you can make profit. The business model should be profitable. Align the technologies helping you. How you govern that. The third angle to it is the product innovation. Most of the industry today, they do just put the lipstick on pig mouth and say they are digitally transformed institution without touching the end-to-end processes and product. How the new idea, for example, from saving perspective, can you make a consumer create his own saving product instead of selling kids saving, retirement plan? You know, instead of that, I have my own idea what I want to save. Let me create my own product. Currently that is only there in telco, not in other field, for example.
Sure.
So can we do the product innovation? We did few in the market. So these three align with, finally endorsed and aligned with the regulator, because financial industry is a highly regulated industry, and all these three innovation need to work with the regulator hand in hand to their blessings and execute a modern economical at scale to bring new growth and helping the particular country economy booming and serving the new market, our targeted market consumer base. So that's where I feel the governance will be placed in, internal as well as external.
Okay. I'm going to drill this a little bit further, right? And I'm going to open to the audience, and please feel free to interact. I know it's after lunch. It's the sleeping bugs is getting onto you, so you can, interact if you want to. I'm going to ask my three guests this question. A typical implementation of a solution in your respective industry would take how long? And to have that implementation governized by sort of have proper governance of it, how long will it take? I mean,
Probably I did a greenfield implementation. With that experience, I can share my own experience. We got pilot license in Philippines December 2019. And some of my colleagues are here. We launched our MVP bank in November 2020.
Wow.
It takes only 11 months. If someone is saying 11 months, the bank can be launched with all the multi-tech, advanced tech, that is one of the governed. If you have a governed way of new innovation, 11 months we launched it. And it took 3 months for piloting to do a commercial launch, to go into public mode. 3 months, March 2021, we launched a commercial operation. And another 6 to 8 months it took for complete regulated governance, which means you did all your documentation well, your operational processes well, and you're including, for example, settlement and reconciliations and dispute management, your technical risk management, your audit, and even at least you did one round of audit with the external parties, either a PwC or Deloitte or these kind of guys. So one level of not just internal processes, the external party validated by December 2021, we were fully operative bank with full governance body in place, which means about it took 2.5 years to the mature operative in modern industry.
Which is amazing, because if that is taken into context with traditional banking, it probably take 15 years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Leonard, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, because I think what you say that, Dr. Marcuz, you're right. So manufacturing and industry, we're actually constantly struggling. And from what I've seen, okay, it's actually a very traditional industry. So the thing is, transformation, okay, is actually not very well received by a lot of these people and bosses who actually work there. Governance itself wasn't really properly defined in the manufacturing sector. So if you talk about digital transformation, incorporating artificial intelligence, incorporating automation, into some of these processes, there will be a lot of friction involved. And I've actually seen this quite often and fairly quite a bit during my merger and acquisition investment years, where bosses don't want to change for the sake of sticking to old ways of production and manufacturing, and they believe that that's the best avenue for them to earn money. But in actual fact, things are changing, things are disrupting, and as we all know, sustainability is now the key talking point, okay, especially in manufacturing and engineering. So if they can't change fast enough, they won't be able to keep up with the competition.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I'll answer it a little differently. A lot of times I see, hey, we need to implement this new core system in 11 months, or we need to bring in a new agent portal for some, our agents for quote to issuance in like 6 months, or we need to build this claims automation piece in 10 months. And I think, time and time again, I still see, and I've been guilty of this, getting caught on like a functionality or a specific delivery, but ultimately we're here to deliver outcomes, right? And I think as you start to shift focusing on the outcomes that you're trying to drive, then it starts to reframe the question, it starts to reframe the governance, because then you can break things down and you're trying to achieve, hey, maybe we're trying to provide an insurance quote to someone within, 5 seconds, or, we want an end-to-end process that's fully streamlined and there's no touch, right? And so I think that you start to put different solutions in place, you have different governance, and the timelines really start to change from that.
Cool. Is there any questions from the audience? Any comments on your thoughts on governance? Anyone? Don't be shy. I know the lunch bug is getting onto you, so, Yes, sir. Can we have your name and yeah?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ketan. I have a question around intelligent automation, and there's a buzzword of citizen development, right? And citizen development comes with the aspect of talent development, internal and external, and as well as innovation. But with that, how the quality as well as the quantity part of it, how you will have the governance in place? Because what I think is, initially we had business silos, and now we are with citizen development as a fancy word right now. We are going from business silos to techno-business silos. So at the end of the day, we will end up with finance plus some kind of automation, then procurement, and then some kind of automation, something like that. So what are your thoughts on that?
You want to try? Any one of you?
Yeah. Probably I'll take it up.
Ramu? Yeah.
Looking at the smart nation, it's linked to the, the smart citizens. Enable the smart citizens, you are integrating the different fields of science and tech. Coming to financial service perspective, you have a different type of customer segment itself when you look at the citizens. You have HNI which don't care about, what type of service you're providing on a call. Your multi-million dollar need to be managed, which means you have a assisted relationship manager assigned to the particular customer to handle a very exclusive way of doing things. There is a mass segment. There is an upper, class segment where used to average manage to $500,000. There's a mass segment average of anything between $50,000 to $10,000. There is another set of inclusion segment. The average salary is between anything $500 to $2,000 people. So it has a different knowledge level. Different kind of services need to be integrated. For example, financial inclusion segment, even in Singapore, there are people, and where if they need money, they're not going to bank because the bank don't know how to service them. They go to the money lender. It's a weekly 10% of interest rate, unbearable lending. And nobody is there to guide what is right. And so the digital citizen development start with advisory mode and enabling them with the right skill, starting how to manage their financial services and how to save their money. If they need of money, how to, what is your, even if they get into trouble, help them to, bring the streamlining their problems. Right now, there are a few institutions working together and trying to help those citizens through, a few institutions today. But of course, there is a gap in integrating all this. Is it the insurance, is it financial service, educational institutions? Today, it's all working as a silo, as you rightly mentioned. But that's the vision for even Smart Nation Singapore becoming smart citizens and how we can integrate well with all the industries. That's all in the, Transformation 2025 roadmap of Singapore.
Yeah. Maybe I like to share some personal experience, right? There's always a saying that it takes a village to raise a successful sportsman, right? But I think for digital transformation, for transforming a citizen into a digital-ready citizen, it's a lot more challenging. I'll share with you, in Singapore being such a small country compared to the rest of the world, we have probably 5 to 6 million people. And bear in mind that even 5 to 6 million people, there is a big disparity between those who are early adopters, those who are ready, and those who are totally ignorant or totally not interested, right? Personally, I've done an interesting session a couple of years back before COVID, where I actually went on stage to actually share about an intro to the different type of technology. We call it 101 technology, right? And the audience, I mean, in that session, I talk about blockchain, talk about Wi-Fi, talk about internet, talk about, what do you call it, 5G, 4G, and everything, right? It's all encompassing. And the audience that I was talking to were the 60s and the 70-year-old uncles and aunties. And I have to use local dialect, whether it's Cantonese, Mandarin, Hokkien, or even, I can't speak Tamil, I can't speak Malay, but I had someone next to me who actually helped to translate in the local language, right? And what was interesting was you realize that in that probably 100 or 100 odd uncles and aunties, there was a big chunk who were interested, and they were very interested to find out how to embrace technology. But the unfortunate thing is because they were so far away, they can't even use a phone. They are not sure how to use a phone. Forget about going into a digital bank, right? So I think the disparity is huge. And if you look at automation, if you look at transformation, it's all for the general good. But bear in mind that there is a big chunk of people who are lost along the way. I guess where we need to focus on is where is these people going to be? Of course, in business, commercial sense, let's target the one that has the most value, the 20s to the 50s, or 20 to the 40s, or whatever that group is. But you have a big chunk of people that they were lost, and they're not able to follow. So what happens? And then you have a disparity, right? I cite one example. On that day, we were, just to clarify, how many of you are living here? Most of you here, right? Yep. Right. So we have banks like DBS, OCBC, what else do we have? All the local banks, right? UOB and so forth. The thing happened in Toa Payoh, sort of like a central, and then we were talking about digital banking, right? And then we were teaching, there were people from DBS, Luis was not here, but there are people from DBS who were going on stage and say, use my digital app, and I can teach you how to use that, right? And then you have UOB who coming up and say, use my app because I have this. And then you have OCBC doing the same thing and say, use my app. So what happened was, on that same place, there were 3 banks, OCBC, UOB, and DBS. And these folks were so excited, they went up and queued to each of them. What happens was, they registered with DBS. And then they hear UOB, they went to UOB, and UOB said, sorry, you're registered with DBS. You cannot have another bank. And then some of them went to OCBC and said, I want OCBC because you have better so-called offering. And they said, no, but you have to cancel your DBS before you come over here. So my point to you is, how responsible are we as transformation lead or early adopters helping the citizens to transform? I think that's a question that I pose to all of you to think. Because if you are saying that we are transforming the industry, we are transforming everything, but you're not looking at the group that is falling apart, then you're not really transforming. I mean, Singapore is 5 million, right? But if you go to a market like India, what's the population of India?
We have about, 200 million? 30, yeah.
Yeah. So if I can say that you can manage to take 30% of that and transform into digital citizen, I think you'll be very successful.
Yeah.
Right, so think of that. Yes, sir. Good day, ask question.
Hello, my name is Arvinda.
Hello.
And I think, Marcuz, you have already touched a very nice point, like unified kind of integration architecture, which is clearly missing. Because I heard 5-7 years ago, like Singapore Prime Minister saying that we have 5 different payment systems.
Yes, you're right.
So similarly, as you say that, like some gentleman saying that financial inclusion is there. But actually, this seamless inclusion is still not there, which is people to adopt it. So how you think, like, so we were talking about intelligent automations and a lot of interesting different words. I mean, but how simplicity we can make it,
well,
that's the things we need to reach to the customer.
Sure.
And how you think like we are going in that direction and how far we? Is it a reality? Like suppose we are talking about blockchain. As you said that you are talking a 16, 17 uncle, auntie, they don't know what is blockchain is. But we are saying that, oh, distributed ledger and all stuff. So, I mean, all this like marketing versus what is the reality, how you find like how the disparity is there, how we can mitigate that disparity.
Anyone want to take this?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think, I agree. I think there's a lot of complexity out there, right? And I think with the evolution of, just new technologies, new business models, right, it's just adding a lot of complexity. And we say, hey, we're going to all start talking together. It's a great big ecosystem. But the reality is there's different contracts, different ways to connect. There's not a lot of standardization. And so it's not really a true plug and play where you can go out there for most industries. And I think, one thing that I look at when we're discussing, with the team and leadership is really where are we going to play to win, right? Because I think you can be overwhelmed. I mean, there's so much that you can do. Given everything that's going on, you really have to think about, as an organization, like, where are you going to play to win, right? And I think it's evolving, right? Insurance, like, we covered everything in the insurance life cycle, right? But it's getting disrupted now, and, like, we have to probably be willing to let certain things go, but do well in other areas and do that really well. And so I find that just, like, understanding what's important to the business, to the strategy, to the experience of where you want to play and doing it right.
Yeah. I just have one point to add, just for addressing what you just said, right? I hope there's no Singapore government people here before I say this, right? Officially, if you look at all the apps out there and all the QR codes out there, every single player has a payment solution using a different QR code. Why would Singapore come up with an SG QR code that encompasses everybody? That addresses your questions, right? So there is not going to be a simple flow of seamless application in transformation, and worse off, there is not going to be a simple, easy way to do governance, given the complexity of everyone developing everyone. And where do you then put your money? Where do you focus on where the money is? Whether you focus on the cash cow or you focus as a way of giving back to the industry, giving back to society, and you sort of teach us the not so important 60s and 70s uncle on using the phones and all that. So I guess that's something that you guys have to think about, whether you take a responsibility role in transformation, in automation, or whether you purely looked at business as your focus. And then how open are you to use this word? We use this word, I use this word quite a lot. It's called C2C. How do you transform competitors to collaborators? So how do you transform competitors, you and me, into collaborators? Because the pie is big enough for everybody. But if you keep on looking at yourself as a competitor to you, I will never talk to you.
True.
But if I look at you as a collaborator, although we compete in the same industry, then you look at things slightly very differently, right? The clock shows that I've got 5 minutes. I'm going to ask the gentleman a question. With all this technology evolving, with all these new terms, metaverse, NFT, what else? Blockchain, crypto. I'm sorry, I cannot remember. There's so much more. The latest I heard is multiverse, okay, where you transform from one verse to another verse. And the way I call it is, if you watch Marvel movie, Loki way, right? You jump in, you transform one way to the other. So I'm going to ask, gentlemen, you guys one simple question. In your opinion, is setting up a solution to address an existing problem? That's one, option one. Second option is finding a new solution to address a potential problem. Which is more important? Let me repeat that. Option one is setting up a solution to address an existing problem. Is it more important than, number two, setting up a solution to address future problem? You want to take a try?
Yeah, but probably I'll try attempt. It's a paradox, no? It's a paradox. Because
sorry, this is not in the script that I sent them. So.
Yeah, true. See, as a business, always we are forward-looking, we look at future, how's our growth? What is the potential market? What is the future problem you want to solve to build a sustainable, forward-looking business? You know, you're not looking at today, hey, my 5.5 million people living in Singapore, 3.5 million citizens and 1.5 million foreigners and half million PR, what is the problem they have? If I look at it, I'll fail in the industry. I have to look at it in 2025, 2020, 30, where I'm going to be in. What does my infrastructure need? What does my financial service need? Am I ahead in my plan while solving my current problem? But I have to work for the forward-looking, future problem solving to meet that goal, preparation. Of course, there is an interim solution versus the future targeted focus, either in a business or government service or regulator, all the both external, internal, and which is, we call it as private and public partnership, which is ecosystem, which you talked about. That's where all we solve today what need for food in our plate, but the future food for our kids is important. Either whatever industry, it's a manufacturing or financial or insurance or government public service, all need to be integrated to forward-looking. But doesn't mean that today you're hungry. You need to serve the food today, but what is for my kids, how they can be better living in future, that's equally important.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think problems today and problems of the future can both be equally important, as what Ramu has mentioned. And for the manufacturing and production industry, what we're really looking at is the matter of urgency. Now, obviously, problems in the future are not that urgent, so you can take time solving it. Okay, but they still need to be solved. However, matters today sometimes they can be urgent, and that's where having digitalization and digital technologies to help us, okay, can be very important.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, I'd say, I think you have to reframe the problem and see, can you do both, right? And that's because, I'll give you an example. We were working on this claim initiative where there was some manual processing in the claims process, and tendency to jump to solutions. Oh, we need this like claims workflow, claims automation solution, right? I mean, that's a very traditional problem, traditional way of solving it. But then if you reframe the question, like, what are you trying to achieve? Again, what's the outcome? And then we started to think, oh, actually, we can use some more advanced like AI visioning to do photo recognition of damage and like do it differently. And so sometimes you can actually probably do both at the same time. But the second thing I will caveat and say is that there are a lot of new technologies. There is a lot of hype. And so I think understanding that hype cycle is very important too, because there are certain things that are more ready now from an implementation. You have to understand, like, what is the true feasibility of something? If something's really farther out and it hasn't been tested or proven, I think it is good to spend some budget on that, but it's probably a smaller percentage of your budget versus a big chunk of the budget.
Thank you. Let me give you a sort of the reason why I asked that question, right? In my personal experience and through the years when I look at technology, evolvement of technology, one of the things that came to me very clearly is that there's too many, everyone has a solution that addresses a problem. But the question here is the problem critical? Is the problem critical? Is that problem going to help you solve an immediate, is that solution going to help you solve an immediate issue or immediate problem, right? And one of the key reasons why I said that is because, can anyone remember, I'm sure many of you remember, can you remember who started, well, let me put it this way. Can you remember Sony Walkman? I'm sure all of you, I'm pretty sure, you're all my era, unfortunately. So Sony Walkman was developed by Sony with a cassette putting it, right? But who made Sony Walkman devices became famous? Give a try, anyone? It's not Sony, someone else. Anyone? Sorry? I can't really.
Motorola.
Huh? Motorola. I give you the answer because time's up. It says time's up. You're going to throw me off stage. The answer is Apple. Why? They took the Sony Walkman, the cassette, removed the cassette, put a hard disk, and then it allows you to put in 1,000 songs, reduce the size into this size, and you put it in a pocket with your earpiece. Is that innovation? Yes. Is that an original solution? No. Is that something that solves a lot of issues? Yes, because with the involvement of iPod at that time, they transformed and they disrupted the music industry. You no longer buy a cassette or a CD that contains 15, 18, 20 songs. You can now buy one song. And what happens to that industry? The artist can now sell one single to Apple without selling the entire mix of songs, right? So that is a disruption. Why am I saying that to the audience and to my guests here is because critically think of solutions, whether it's an existing, whether it's a future, not by saying that I'm not going to copy someone else. It's okay to copy if you can actually be better, and you do it much better. So that's my humble opinion to you. It says time up, so I can't really ask. Actually, I've got one more question for them. I'm not going to ask them because they're going to chase me out. So without further ado, I'd like to thank Ramu, Leonard, and David. Thank you and all the audience. Thank you so much.